University of Louisville president. Now, some of you may know they actually know one another and are quite friendly and get along quite well. But I think for what we all believe as Commonwealth of Kentucky residents, and I'm a lifelong resident, it's critical and we believe very, very important to the future of our Commonwealth, our community. These two great institutions work very, very closely together. There are states all around us who don't want this state to be successful. And these two fellows can help make some of that success possible through their great personal relationships, professional relationships, and having the two universities work so well together now and in the future. It's my pleasure to introduce Jim Ramsey, President of the University of Louisville. There will be question and answers afterwards by Rotarians only. Only by Rotarians. So guests, if you have a question, you need to put that through a Rotarian. You will come to a floor mic and you'll be recognized. And as long as the fellows can stay, I'm sure they'll be glad to respond. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Let's try that again. Good afternoon. There you go. It's really a great honor and a great privilege for me to have the opportunity to introduce you to Dr. Eli Capilouto. As the search for a new president at the University of Kentucky was taking place a few years ago, and as the search was actually winding down, a friend of mine who was actually on the Board of Trustees and the search committee at the University of Kentucky said, "Jim, you're really going to like our new president, the person that we're selecting to be the new president at the University of Kentucky." And that friend of mine was absolutely right. Eli Capilouto was a great selection for the University of Kentucky. I've really enjoyed having the opportunity to work with him and to get to know him. And we as a state are fortunate to have Dr. Capilouto as the president of the University of Kentucky, our land-grant institution and our flagship university. Eli came to Kentucky from the University of Alabama in Birmingham. There he served in the very important role of provost. Provost is the chief academic officer, and we're academic institutions, so that is a critical position. Eli, at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, in his role as provost, worked interestingly with Dr. Carol Garrison, who was the provost at one time at the University of Louisville, and Carol left the University of Louisville to go to the University of Alabama, Birmingham. In his short tenure at the University of Kentucky, Eli has done some amazing things. He was telling me on one occasion that he couldn't sleep at night, and that's sort of an occupational hazard we have in these positions. And so he got up and walked around campus and visited some of the residence halls and looked at some of the student study areas and so forth, and saw students studying, but not under the very best of conditions. And so he said he needed to fix that, and fix that he has done and is doing in a very big way with an incredible rebuilding of not just residence halls, but residence life at the University of Kentucky. A year ago, Eli was the force, the leader in the state in convincing the Kentucky General Assembly to let us in higher education have the authority to spend our own resources on buildings, academic buildings and other buildings on our campuses. And that was a big step forward for us and has been important in a number of academic projects at the University of Kentucky. Eli is a native of Montgomery, Alabama, did his undergraduate degree at the University of Alabama. He's trained as a dentist, has a doctorate in health policy from Harvard. Eli's wife, Mary Lynn, is a wonderful addition to our community and our state. She is a dentist by training. They have one daughter, Emily, who is a student at the University of Kentucky. It's a great honor for me to introduce to you Dr. Eli Capilouto.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsey, for that kind introduction, and thank all of you for being here. I will tell you that when I walk into a opportunity like this and see a big crowd, I quickly check the invitation to see if some people thought they were coming to listen to President Calipari. We have a reception before the Kentucky basketball games that I host in Lexington. And I'm telling you the truth. I've had legislators come in and thank me as President Calipari for the kind hospitality. And Dr. Ramsey, I want to say this. When I was named to this position and I arrived back in Birmingham, a couple of days later I got a thoughtful note for him where he offered to come to Birmingham and start our conversations and our partnership. As he said, we had a connection through Carol Garrison, who served as my president in Birmingham. I felt like I'd known Jim Ramsey all my life because she would often mention things about Jim and the extraordinary things he was doing. When I arrived in Kentucky, I certainly get to see those firsthand, and I want to commend him for this. And all of you should take great pride in this as well. Some of the tension that you see at the federal level and the state level now is the dissatisfaction that taxpayers have, as voiced through their elected officials, about some stubborn numbers that we're not doing so well at in higher education. One of those is a graduation rate. Investments continue through all kinds of activities, but those haven't budged across the United States over the last 10 years. The University of Louisville is an exception to that. The graduation rate has increased by 23 percentage points. That is a remarkable feat, and Dr. Ramsey and his team should be applauded. Today we testified together in Frankfurt, and I heard again the remarkable achievements, 1,000 more graduates a year, to increase the externally funded research from $40 million to $186 million is also an incredible accomplishment. But I'm not really surprised by all of that because, as I like to say, Jim Ramsey has a degree from the University of Kentucky. Just another average graduate of the university. So I want to give you an update of what's happening at the University of Kentucky and what's happening in higher education, and I'm going to do so by sharing with you three numbers: 176, 688 million, and 500 billion. So what do those numbers represent? The first one, 176. That represents the total number of national merit scholars we have attracted to the University of Kentucky in our last two freshman classes. And to give you a sense of what that means nationally, in our last class, we were ahead of Brown, Dartmouth, and Berkeley. We were also in the same league as Georgia Tech, Columbia, UNC, and Duke. Take that, Christian Laettner. So that puts us comfortably in the top 10 of public research universities in the country, and we're proud. We think we can attract those types of students, the best and brightest, to the University of Kentucky because we're unique in that we offer a broad array of educational opportunities. In fact, we're one of 8 universities in the country that has on a contiguous campus such disciplines as agriculture, everything you'll find in an academic medical center, law, fine arts, engineering, social work. Those represent wonderful opportunities both in learning and in research, because much of what we are challenged to answer today and prepare our students for will lie at the intersection of the disciplines. And so that's what we think is attractive and is our responsibility at the University of Kentucky in terms of providing a unique educational opportunity. The second number, 688 million, what does that represent? It's $688 million in construction that is either underway in our campus or approved and will be underway soon that we've gotten done in the last 2.5 years. and not a penny of that comes from state sources. We have totally self-financed all of this. The first is a partnership with EDR, a publicly traded firm out of Memphis. They have committed, and our board has approved, $348 million of construction. We opened our first residence halls in that partnership last August. Over the next 3 years, we will open 12 residence halls, 6,000 beds, modern living learning space on our campus. That $348 million of outside funds coming from shareholders around the country into Kentucky has created over 9,000 jobs and will create $10 million in new state and local payroll taxes. Within these spaces, we're able to create what we think is the most ambitious ramp up of 21st century living learning opportunities. Students work together in teams, live together, and focus on a particular area that may be of interest, from economics, global economy, sustainability. We have a program that focuses on technology. We'll have 19 of these by the time we open all of these facilities. We think that that represents a real leg up in increasing student success. The next project is a $65 million total renovation and expansion of our Gatton College of Business. As Dr. Ramsey pointed out, we went to the legislature last year and through House Bill 7 asked for the opportunity to self-finance these projects. We said, if you give us the opportunity to issue debt, $65 million for this building, we'll raise all the money. And I'm proud to say that within a year, we have raised $46 million, and we expect to raise all of it. The second project that was involved in House Bill 7 was a new $100 million academic science building. Our facilities at the University of Kentucky are tired. In fact, an independent study showed that we have $1.5 billion of deferred maintenance and construction needs. The second most heavily utilized building on our campus is an old Chem Phys building that is just not adequate. This new academic science building is $100 million. $65 million of that will be financed by UK Athletics. So we're real proud of that commitment and partnership. The last the next expenditure that is underway, approved by the legislature, was a $110 million renovation of Commonwealth Stadium. We will shrink that stadium from 67,000 seats to a little between 60 and 61,000, but we will increase the amenities there in the forms of suites, club seating, loge seating, and that's how that will be totally financed. We also, from 100% philanthropy, will be building a $45 million football practice facility adjoining Commonwealth Stadium, something we have to have to remain competitive in the Southeastern Conference. Now, many people argue, why are you spending on athletics in such a tight environment? As I explained to the legislature and explained to our campus, we have 22 sports at the University of Kentucky, more than any other school in the Southeastern Conference. 2 of those sports have positive net revenues, and everybody knows what those are. But what most people don't know, and it's part of your membership in the Southeastern Conference, is football generates almost double the net revenue as basketball does at the University of Kentucky. Okay, so you've got to remain competitive in that sport. That's why we're making the investment, because we hope we're going to be able to partner on other projects on the academic side of our campus. Next project is a $20 million investment in a renovation of an old warehouse in Lexington that will house the visual arts component of our fine arts college, and we're deeply proud of that. So that's that $688 million number. all new construction underway at the University of Kentucky. I shared with the legislature this morning that we're still behind when it comes to that $1.5 billion. So we have before them, in the form of partnerships with the state, and then new facilities that we would again self-finance, another $531 million that we would like to see done over the next 2 years. Mix of support. A new student center, ours is woefully out of date. Again, major infusion of philanthropy. We need to issue bonds to finance these. We want to keep any student fee increase necessary to fund that to something that is minimal. We're asking the state to partner with us on a new College of Law building. If the state could support this in the form of $35 million of construction supported bonds, we want to make a commitment to raise the other $30 million to finish that project. Our research facilities are all filled up, at least the quality ones. And to attract and retain the talent we have at the University of Kentucky, we need this state-of-the-art space. The legislature, our own resources, revenues from our clinical enterprise made it possible for us to be highly successful and competitive when it came to cancer care and cancer research that resulted in our designation by the National Cancer Institute. But that space is space that we just don't have any more of. So we have a $111 million project there. We'd ask the state for $45 million. We would take responsibility for raising the rest as part of a match with the Bucks for Bricks campaign that is in the current budget. We also need to finish 2 more floors of our Chandler Hospital, the new hospital, and remodel the NICU unit there. We turned away over 1,000 patients last year. We have boarders that sit out in our hallways many times that we can't get them into rooms. Some of the old beds in the Chandler Hospital need to come out of operation, and so we're at a point where we can self-finance another $150 million further completion of the hospital. The last number I want to share with you is $500 billion, and that is a big number. And what does it represent? The National Research Council did a study where they went back and looked over the past couple of decades just in the computing field and industry alone. They wanted to look at what publicly funded research had been translated into our economy. What discoveries were now part of this commerce that we enjoy. And they found that all those projects funded by the National Science Foundation and the Department of Defense and even the National Institutes of Health that supported breakthroughs in computing technology, those things that Google and Microsoft and all depend on today, are responsible for $500 billion on an annual basis in our economy. And that's what public support for research means. That's what it means to the University of Louisville, that's what it means to the University of Kentucky, and that's what it means to the Commonwealth. I'll give you one example in our case. Something that means a lot to Kentucky certainly is energy. We have a Center for Applied Energy Research at the University of Kentucky, get some state support over the last few years through a stimulus grant and partnerships, including the University of Louisville. We were able to build a Kentucky Argonne battery facility. That center, just in the last year, that stimulus award was in the $20 million category. That stimulus, during the last year, on top of the millions of dollars that they have garnered through competitive grants, we received a $3.5 million grant from the Department of Energy. It also includes partnerships like Duke Energy, who are interested in answering the same questions all of us are across the world, and in this case it's how could you effectively, and to protect the environment, capture carbon in a coal-fired plant? We know a lot about that science. The challenge is, how do you scale that up in an efficient way, a cost-efficient way, to do that at a coal-fired plant? We have the researchers that know that technology and are working to see if it's feasible. We were able to attract, because of that battery facility, a company that was birthed out of Cornell University. 16 young people who think they have the next breakthrough when it comes to batteries in this country. And I don't have to tell you how important that is. They looked all over the country. In Kentucky, you can get a small business reward, SBIR, investigative reward, funded by the federal government. We match those in Kentucky. We throw in some rent subsidies in Lexington, and you can bring those types of companies who then want to work at a battery research facility. This could be the next huge breakthrough that would certainly mean so much for our country, but mean a lot for the economy of the Commonwealth. So those are the three numbers: 176, $688 million, and $500 billion. And I hope through those numbers you will understand the criticality of your major research universities, University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. And